Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Let's talk about vasanas. Vasanas is a word that is used a lot in India and it is totally negative, has a total negative connotation. The vasanas. Actually, it simply means the inherent tendencies. But when somebody talks about their vasanas, they mean, oh, all my bad habits. There is the other word, samskaras, which basically means the same as vasana. It's just in Vedanta, it's mainly vasana used, and in yoga and other philosophies, Sankhya, they use the word samskara. It simply means our tendencies. It's neutral. But then in common talk, usually it has become the habit to use vasanas as the negative tendencies and samskaras as the positive tendencies. But tendencies are something that is added, that is not of the self. The self, the being you are, may have chosen certain traits to bundle them together and project into this world for a certain purpose, for certain experiences, because it's felt that's important to learn, to grow with it, to outgrow it. Now, Mariano asked me what to do with the vasanas when they come so strongly up. Is there any help from the self? Is the self helping to deal with the vasanas? Is it simply willpower that we have to use? Or is there any other means, other way to go about it? Obviously, he has used the word vasana in the sense of something that is disturbing, something we should work on it in order to free ourselves from it. Yes, Mariano, of course the self is helping. There is the continuous call from the self to bring the attention back, to come home. Simply in our mind, we have created all those barriers. And often we don't want to listen because we think our mental stuff is so much more interesting than coming back to our true nature. We think about things and think about it again and again and again, and things become glorious and or terrifying. And we are equally attached to the glorious and terrifying ones instead of letting all that go and sink back home. The call, the pull from the self is always there. We have grown up, learned not to listen to that. We have grown up in a society where very few are listening to that call. And so what we think is normal is just the habitual way how we prevent from being in harmony with our true nature, from being natural. And then when one starts to consciously turning the attention, then we are suddenly assaulted with so many difficulties. Why? Because those vasanas, those inherent tendencies have been rampant, and we have never really had a good look at them and see what they are doing. And so through repetition, it has become stronger and stronger. Now, if there are urges that we feel they stand in the way, we can treat them by not going into the discussion in our head, am I going to fulfill it? Am I not going to fulfill it? But simply observe what is going on when that urge comes up. An urge we basically don't want to go after because we feel it's just disturbing, but still it's there and it's coming strongly. If we can, if it's possible, just let that urge come. Be neutral about it. Look what it is doing in the system. Look how the system is getting agitated. How the body has funny feelings, is full of tensions and cramps. How the energy is blocked, is not flowing freely in a right way, in a harmonious way, that we have a certain mental clarity. If we can just watch this and consciously relax, then it may subside. That urge may simply pass away. But many times it's just too strong. And then one can fight with it. And Mariano asks, is it just a matter of willpower? No, we cannot simply with willpower overcome it because they are coming from the same mind, from the same source. They have equal power. And the habit in itself has its own momentum, has created a momentum, a power that if it's very strong, we cannot simply control it with will. So sooner or later, it will somewhere crack and explode and maybe create more trouble if we with sheer will force have somehow controlled certain things. It makes totally sense when an urge comes up and we feel, it's not appropriate that for a moment we apply that willpower, that for a moment we control. But then it's good to learn to let go and observe, not go into the story, but step a step back and observe what it is doing, how it is affecting my experience right now, how it is pushing and pulling in the body energetically, and then learn to relax and open the heart to the self. Mariana asked, is the self helping? Yes, that help is always there, but we have to open up to it. We have to open the heart to it. If we just stick with our attention on the mental level, the thoughts on and on and on, the emotions that are being generated by those thoughts, then we are like blocking off that help that is always there, ready. Hey, come here. Here I am. Just come home. So the willpower is perfectly valid, momentary. in the moment when something just lifts up the head and wants us to go into situations that we know we may later regret. But then we cannot simply try to control and control and control with willpower. Sooner or later that will crack. And then it may come up and manifest even stronger. We have to learn to step a step back, to objectify it, see what is going on, learn to relax in that observation. Nevertheless, if tendencies are too strong and we cannot get rid of them in that way, then maybe we have to let them fulfill. But then, if that is happening, try to do that in a wise way. Okay, I know deep down I have my reservations to do that because from all the experience I know it's leading into some kind of trouble or other. And I don't want to create trouble because it's not natural to create trouble unnecessarily. But if the urge is too much, then we can accept, okay, I'm going for it, but I'm going for it consciously. Stay alert, observe what's going on. When we go after that urge, not go in blindly, completely forget, but try to remain alert, or at least every now and then remind ourselves, hey, let me observe, let me really see what does it really bring when I do that. Is it really making me happier as I somehow in my mind think when it comes up and I think of something, then it feels like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, and that makes me happy. Is it really doing that? And if we go for those things and experience the sweet and the bitter fruit of our actions, then that helps us to get more detached. Sometimes it's necessary, even if we know, oh, if I go for that, that gives again other trouble, that gives again other work. But if it's too strong, that's maybe what is needed in order to learn our lessons deeply enough that in future we are more capable of not being swept away when ideas come, when urges come, when the vasanas lift up their head. We are here for that. We are have the self has projected itself an aspect into this story, into this magic show for that purpose of gaining experience, of learning, of getting stronger, getting richer for the experience, essentially remaining the same, but with that increasing wealth of experience and wisdom, then the experience of that one sense keeps also unfolding and expanding. By all means, let us just observe the vasanas when they come. Let us observe those tendencies as when they come and let them go, knowing they are just leading me into alleys I don't want to go. But if we can't avoid it, okay, then let's go. Consciously, all right, taking in our stride that it may have consequences that I'm not very much liking, but then learn to deal with them also patiently, accepting that's part of the package. We don't have to somehow try to squash every vasana. Vasana really is a neutral word. And somehow that inner beauty wants to express itself. Certain tendencies, they don't prevent us at all from connecting with our naturalness, with our essence. We don't have to work on them and try to remove them and think we have to somehow squash everything that makes us alive and active on this level. But we can learn there are really certain traits that I have, God knows from where, maybe just simply picked up while growing up in this world. And from my experience, I know if I'm following that, it leads to suffering. Suffering for myself and often suffering of others around. And it's not natural to create suffering. Naturally, you are joyous. Naturally, you are in harmony. Naturally, you are at peace. And those traits who simply want to prevent us from being aware of those natural aspects, it's good that we learn to let them go. That we first at all become really aware. They are there, they're pushing and pulling all the time. I think I'm deciding for this action or that action, but actually I'm just being blindly pushed by my vasanas. I have to become aware they are there. And once I'm aware, I can learn to distance myself, detach myself. I can learn to remember when it comes up. Look, I can think and think and think, and it's getting stronger and stronger, and finally it's just impossible to contain, and it has to somehow manifest. Or I can, from the beginning, step a step back and watch. Aha, here are these thoughts again. Here are these emotions again. They try to pull me into action, but I can also just watch what they are doing. See how they are creating tensions. See how they are creating blocks for the energy to flow freely, harmoniously. And then learn to relax. Relax on all the levels. Start on the easiest level. Feel the body sensations, feel what's going on, and relax. Become aware of the flow of the energy and relax. And then those energetic blockages start to slowly dissipate. Open the heart to that continuous call from the self. It's there. That help is there. Without that, nothing would be there. Without that, we would never have an idea of learning more about truth, learning more of what is really going on. That pull is always there. That call, come home, come home. That desire that starts to manifest in the personal mind. I want to free myself. I'm feeling like in a prison and I want to free myself. And then looking for ways how to undo all that makes me feel imprisoned. It's not egoistic like many times people who are not doing so are trying to put push into people who at least try. It's selfish. You want for yourself something. But actually, that is the best that we can do not only for ourselves, but for the whole, for the collective. If we get rid of all that is destructive, if we get rid of all that is creating tensions and pain, then we are doing a great service to the whole rest of the manifestation. Mm. And for everyone who goes through that, the path is getting a bit easier. Those who come after them have it already a little bit easier because of that. But if it's necessary, then follow the pull of the vasana, but stay observant. And when we are observant, then very quickly, maybe slower for some, maybe quicker for others, but gradually become more and more aware. Happiness is not coming from there where I'm looking for. It's not from somewhere outside. It comes out of the source. Even when I fulfill desires, that moment, that happiness that is experienced is not because of the objects that we are perceiving, experiencing. It comes out of the self. Because when a desire is fulfilled, everybody, at least to some extent, relaxes. Let's go. For some time, one is not torturing oneself with the thought, oh, I want this, I want that, it should be different, it should not be like this. But when a desire is fulfilled, there comes that, letting go, and in that letting go, that inner beauty, that inner joyousness can come to the surface easier, at least to some degree. But if we observe, then we become aware. The happiness is not coming from where we thought it's coming from. We had before the experience, if I do this, I'm getting happy. If I fulfill this desire, I'm feeling happy. And from that memory, the pull becomes stronger. I have to do this and repeat this more, and then I'm happier. But if we observe, then we become aware it's not even coming from where we thought it's coming from. It's simply made possible for the inherent joyousness to come, for, at least for some time, a bit more perceptible to the surface because we let go. Because the circumstances had been the way we like them, and then we let go. Then we don't resist the fact of what we are experiencing. But it never holds because a mind that is believing like this will very quickly think, oh, it's gone. The situation is gone. The happiness is gone. I have to somehow reconstruct it in order to make me happy again. And so it goes on and on and on. Yes, the help is there from the self all the time, but it's up to our conscious self. It's up to us to open the heart to it, to really start to listen to that more clearly, more sincerely. And in order to be ready to do so, many times it's necessary that we go through things, but learn to be awake, not completely lost in the situation, but be awake and observe what's really going on. And the more we become aware of that, the more automatically that longing comes. I want to be free of those things that make me feel more separate from it. Some things go quickly, easy, and some things, they are very deep. They have been put in the subconscious already at the extremely early age. And those things that are deeply rooted like this, they may be very powerful. But if we go about it with devotion, if we go about it with patience, with perseverance, then even the strongest vasanas, we can neutralize them, that they are simply there as a memory, but have no more power to direct the show. Okay, that much about this subject. Then somebody has asked me, is it really true that I am closed, that I'm not ready for help? Because I'm not well, I need help. And somebody has told me I'm too closed, I'm too blocked, I'm not ready to accept help. Actually, this is a very common problem. For some people, it's more, for some people, it's less. But it's our resistance that doesn't help us, that doesn't let us to get better when we feel bad, than when we feel in a bad situation. Externally, internally, it just feels not right. And when that feeling is there, one feels miserable. And there comes the cry for help. But then there may be a block that even if help comes, that we cannot really make use of it. That inner readiness must also be there, that we are ready to let go of the things that hurt us. But we don't have to get worried if other people come and talk like this. People like to give lectures, people like to tell others where they are. Most of the time when people come and give advice and we have not really asked them for it, then they are not really telling about our story, but about their story, projecting into our story what it would mean for them if they were in the same situation. So, my friend, you should not give so much weight such statements. If somebody comes and tells you like this, you can consider, okay, maybe I'm blocking. But everybody does that to some extent, otherwise we would be free. But that general, immediate response when I'm not feeling well, I need help. We can also work on that and become aware that help is already there. It's in the self. Like when I said about the vasanas, but we have to open the heart for it. That this inner strength has a chance to come up to the surface and flow in the situation. Sometimes an external help really is good, but only if we basically have already done the footwork for ourselves. If we basically really are ready to take the responsibility over our situation. And then somebody who is skilled may guide a few steps, and that guidance may be very helpful. But basically, even if that thought comes all the time, I need help, it's better to turn the attention back to the self, become aware all the help is there if we just give it a chance. But then, even with that inner help, the mind may create blocks. Doesn't want to give up the old ways that create pain and suffering, somehow simply because it's familiar. Simply because it's a bit frightening to suddenly accept actually, I don't know where this leads me. I just have to go step by step without knowing where it leads me. That fear of letting go, of thinking then I'm totally vulnerable and it's getting worse is there, but it's totally unfounded. You are that essence. You are that source where all the strength, all the power, all the beauty, all the love is coming from. And then we may feel disconnected from it, cut off from it, and immediately the cry for help comes. And we look for outside for help. And most of the time, if one runs after help like this, it's a disappointment. And maybe let us in a worse condition. If help has to come, if it's on the program, somehow it comes. But then we have to cooperate. And it's a tendency then also in the mind to say, oh, I cannot, even if a good advice comes, oh, I can't, I'm unable, I'm feeling too bad, I cannot. We can always attempt. God, the self, helps those who learn to rely that they have on their own strength, that they have all the strength, all the wisdom in themselves, and gradually open more and more the heart. Yes, there are blocks, there are things that resist. It's there in everybody, except the very, very rare few who grew up in this world, never losing the touch with the essence. Everybody is in the same boat. So then for some it's more difficult, for some it's easier. But everybody knows that struggle, that something calls, something pulls. There is a longing for peace, for harmony, for freedom. And somehow we are not ready to let go all that mental stuff that creates barriers, that prevents us from coming back to that naturalness. And it's often not so easy to acknowledge, yes, I'm doing this to myself. And then one looks for reasons anywhere except of what's going on in our own mind. And then hopes from external help that somehow this is going to be removed. Our inner state unconsciously is mostly our own creation. There are the uncontrollable influences, definitely, but it's mostly our own creation. And we have to learn to have the courage to see that it is so, that I'm doing this to myself, and then open up to really let it go. And even if it's frightening, even if one thinks, oh my God, what is going to happen? Somehow or other, it's familiar. I have created that structure where I'm living in that gives me a sense of security, but actually what may in the beginning have been a certain help, the support that was needed, then if we keep it up, it becomes a prison and prevents us from letting go, from making the further steps to be consciously reunited. Actually, we never not united, but it feels like that. In the mind, it looks like we are separate, we are cut off from that divine source, but we are not. We cannot possibly be separate from that. But somehow, when that mechanism is ingrained, then we have consciously learned to do that, what should be natural, to open the heart, to let that influence flow into the manifestation, that influence that is simply basically joyous, at peace and in harmony. And then if a helping hand comes, we can accept it and take what helps us. But running around and looking for help is simply driving us crazy. Sometimes it may appear momentarily, okay, that has helped me a lot, but it's just a momentary story. And if you are not alert, if you are not more aware of what is going on really, how we are creating basically our own tensions, our own misery. If we are not becoming aware, then these external helps, even if they seem to work, they are momentary. It feels good for some time, and after a moment, it's again gone. It's like a drug then. It may feel it's good for some time, but then it goes down the slope, and then after that, the repercussions may come that make us more suffer than we suffered before. We have to develop that courage, and everybody can. And then the mind comes and says, no, I can't. It's not possible. I'm not good enough. And this is just the way to sabotage. That's the way that the old personality, fixed personality, wants to defend itself by telling, oh, it doesn't work. I try, I'm doing a little, it doesn't work. I need something else from somewhere. Whatever we need is already here now. It's never absent. We just have to learn to dive into that, live with that, make the life an expression of that. And then those tendencies that create troubles gradually disappear. Courage, my friend. Don't listen too much to what people tell you, but you have also to stop to invite it by telling your woes to everybody. And then they will tell their things. And then sometimes it may after that stick in your mind and think, oh my God, maybe they are right. What can I do? Hmm. You can check when somebody says like this, and if you feel that, no, actually, there may be a little spark of truth in it, but the main story may not fit into that little concept at all. You have all the strength in yourself. And if you feel resistance, if you become aware of resistance to live up to that strength, up to that potential, then if we do that consciously, if we are alert, then we become aware. And from that new perspective, it's easier to accept, okay, about many things I was so sure that I know it, I'm right. But actually, if we look really closer, we become aware. I didn't quite know. I wasn't quite aware to what extent I have been influencing, what I have really done with myself, with my story. And then when that awareness dawns, we can say, no, no more. My basic choice is to liberate myself from that. And then this choice can be renewed and renewed. And then gradually that inner resistance will start to evaporate. And even if then somebody comes and says, you are like this, you are like that, and it's your own thing, it's your own fault, then you can check Does he have a point somewhere? Or does it simply not apply to my story and the situation in my story? And then we can just dismiss it. Okay, something has come into the system, but it hasn't done anything good, so I need not hold on to it. I just let it go again. In reality, you are already home. It's just dreaming we are separate. In reality, an aspect of your being is pure joyousness. It's not something we have to find after a long journey. It's here. It's now. Just open up the heart to that more and more and more, day after day. And then things will start to arrange themselves. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Okay, my friends who are here, listening to all that, I'm asking you, is there anyone who would like to come and say something? You're welcome. I see Dial is there. Hello, Dial.
Hello, Werner. I want to ask you about vasanas and sankharas.
Yes.
Often you speak that we have to watch how they appears in the body in the energy feelings. From where you get this method to watch the body feelings and energy?
What was the question? From where do I get?
Often you speak that we have to absorb our body and our energy in order to eradicate sankharas or vasanas.
Right.
So, from where this teaching comes to you?
From where the teaching comes, because I learned to do so with my own stuff and was aware it's working. It's not a teaching that I have learned. I have heard, of course, from the traditions all along, detach, detach, detach. But they never knew really, okay, how do I detach? And then in my story, in my practice, there came a period when I started to become much more aware what's going on. And all this stuff that I'm talking about is simply what I learned there. How I have been learning to see those things that kept on creating misery in my own life, instead of letting myself be pulled by them, learning to see what it is doing right now in my experience. It's not that somebody really instructed me like this. After that, I learned there are traditions who talk very similar. But somehow this is really something which step by step I had discovered by myself.
Yes, I asking you because in Buddhism there's a very serious idea that observing the body sensations, it's the only way to nibbana, to nirvana. It's invention of Buddha, and other teachings somehow don't know it, and they speak that there's actually two ways. One way is concentration or on one point, and if you concentrate on one point and ignore all the body, then you will come to jhana, very deep blissful states. And there's a jhanas, you can go deeper and deeper, and you can, with these jhanas, you can go to paradise for many years, billion years, but still this teaching doesn't work. After billion years in very blissful paradise, you will fall down to the earth or some miserable states, and you will continue how to say, circling in samsara. Samsara, it means you come from the one word to another, but circle and circle, you cannot go out of it. And they speak, this is an invention of Buddha watching the body, and it's much more difficult than focus on one point, but it can bring you a real liberation forever. That's what I'm here. What you can speak about it. Any
Okay.
comments about it?
I wouldn't put it so drastic like that, like that it is the only way. You can, in many different ways, become more conscious. And then in that increased consciousness, these kind of mechanisms start to happen gently by themselves. That things come up and one observes them without even too much thinking. I'm observing what it is doing in the body. But I can say it's certainly working if one does, but I would not say only like this you can liberate yourself. And actually, to learn to be more observative and at the same time learn to focus, to concentrate, the two can help each other very much. It's not that you are going one way or the other way, but if you learn to be more concentrated, then that gives more insight that it is easier to observe what is really going on. And with that increased observation, it's easier to let go what stands in the way, and in that way also the concentration is again increasing. The two go hand in hand.
Okay, yes, it's sometimes it's difficult to see the way clearly because, for example, Buddhism speak only way observing the body. Then, for example, Hare Krishna, people said only devotion it's bring you to the God. Other ways, it's just somewhere around, and we cannot check it how where this way leads, what result it will gives, and
Right,
different teachings speaking different things. So that's why
right,
I'm asking.
right. And we can take these traditional teachings as inspirations, as blueprints, but at the same time, don't take it to the letter all the time, but everyone, even if somebody is a follower of the Buddhist Vipassana path, still they have to learn by their own experience. So even if one is a Hare Krishna follower and chants Hare Krishna and opens the heart and tries to get in those religious ecstasies, still they have to somehow learn to observe themselves, see what's going on, and then everybody's way is slightly unique, even if you fall in the current of a tradition. So the traditions, they are blueprints, and unfortunately, in most of the traditions, that there are statements that are also confusing, like it's like this and not different, and that is we can know, no. There have been so many people in so many ways dealing with their troubles, learning to let them go and somehow come back to that naturalness, to that natural divinity. So we need not say it's only going like this, but if we feel attracted to a certain way, how to go about it, then by all means, make use and get inspiration from the tradition, from people who have already done it, without necessarily then crystallizing our mind. It's only working like this.
Yes, thank you, Werner. Thank you.
You're
Hari Om.
welcome. Hario, Hario. I think I saw Ravi coming in before also. You want to come in? Hello, Ravi. You have to unmute, Ravi. Oh, whatever you have said,
I'm
I
back.
have. Here, there you are.
Uh, I'm wearing these glasses that block out the light because
Yeah,
it's nighttime to help me sleep better.
yeah.
Um, so I wanted to know a little bit about, I'm not sure exactly how to formulate my question, but I notice when I get into one of my vasanas comes up, which is worrying, trying to work it out, trying to fix it, trying to like a concern that there's something wrong and there's a problem to solve. And then the other side is I know that when I connect, there's that space which is free of that worry, the anxiety. Then I can feel the pull when I connect to kind of go back to thinking. It seems like it's just the pattern of it. It'll be safer to think to make myself solve the problem to feel
Hmm.
safe. I wanted to ask a bit more about when you use, the idea of divine help or inner help. And I would think, like when you connect to that space, like then it's easy to go through life. There's more clarity in that your mind is not hooked up with all these thoughts.
Hmm.
So I guess on one level, there's more on a practical level, it's easier to make potentially better decisions to navigate life on in the world. Um, but can you also please talk about divine help that maybe, I don't know, there's a divine help that helps us where we
Hmm.
don't need to always be thinking and trying to work it out, that
Hmm.
helps us solve problems or move through things or makes life easier. Is there
Right.
such a thing?
Yes, there is such a thing, but it's not really different from what you have been describing. Whether you just uh, open your heart to the self and that aspect that is not involved into the worries, or whether you more in a devotional way simply open the heart to God. Actually, you are touching that same divine essence. And that divine essence is always ready to help, to support. Sorry for the background noise. Somebody is at the gate, but it will pass. So, yes, there is that divine help there, but we don't have to imagine there is a God sitting up there somewhere and think, oh, this poor fellow, I need to help him now. It's more like if the more we are capable of opening the heart, then the more that divinity naturally flows into it. And the devotee will feel, ah, God is helping me. I'm getting God's grace. And the Advaitin will say, maybe say, oh, the that divinity flows out of my heart from my source, from what I am. And basically both are talking about the same thing.
How does that grace, can you give me some practical examples of how that, like, I feel that grace at times when I connect. I mean, the
Yes.
nature of connecting is feeling that grace.
Mm.
But again, I feel like there's another level of grace where it's working, or I'm hoping anyway,
Mm.
it's working through the physical world to make things align in our life easier and for the right person to come to give me the answers so I don't need to be thinking about it all the time. I can relax that it's going to
Right.
happen. Can you talk more about that practical side of grace,
Yes.
if there is such a thing or not?
Yes, you can call it like this if you want, but it's not something that you can sit down and think, okay, I'm now somehow going to uh, check into that grace and use it. It's actually exactly when we let go of that me who is calculating, who wants to gain something, then that grace is manifesting. It's not something that you can decide, okay, me, Ravi, I'm going to catch it and use it. But it's more that that personality has to let go, and there we become aware grace has never been absent. Then, of
Yeah.
course, mysteriously in manifestation, at a certain time, in certain places, suddenly grace falls on a place or on a person, on a group, and this is totally unpredictable. That is, you can accept it as the divine will, but it's not something that we can in any way control.
Yeah.
What we
And
can,
I guess I asked.
sorry, what we can is as good as possible make ourselves available that grace can flow. As good as possible, open the heart, and that means not calculating how can I use the grace. How can I somehow catch it and use it in a practical way?
Yes. Yeah. Mm. Sounds good. Thank you, Werner.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hurry on.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hurry on.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Leela.
Nelly also. Yeah. Today's meeting is very, very special for me and meaningful, and I've been crying through your speech and also listening to Ravi now. And just wanted to say something about grace. Like came to me when Ravi was talking. What I've been feeling also, yeah, lately I would say, but specifically since Monday, I'm very confused and I don't have the words to describe. On Monday, all the living hostages came back from Gaza, and it was the power of the experience and the energies can describe. So about grace, what I've been feeling lately is that it's all over. When grace is, let's say simply the name of the game, I've been experiencing so much grace between people, towards me, from me, between two other people. Now, when I've listened to everything what you said and to other people, it's there. Grace, it's there. That's what I have to say.
Yes, you're perfectly right. It's always there. Simply, we can be tuned to it or not. After all, grace is just a way, a word to talk about something we cannot really understand. It's
Can you repeat this? Can you repeat this?
grace is just a name, a word that we are giving, a word that we are using to call something with a name that we don't really understand. Grace is
Yeah.
not something that we can understand and then learn the mechanism of it and then use it.
Yeah.
But what still, in spite of grace being there all the time, we can make ourselves available, and then naturally it will flow easier. It will manifest easier, or we can block off from that by insisting on our own personal me important things. And then we are not being aware that that grace is still there. I have said this before, but I'm quoting again a picture of Ananda Mahima. She says, grace is like the rain, and we can come out with a little vessel and catch with the vessel, with the size of the vessel, or we can use a bigger vessel or a huge vessel. And according to the vessel, the rain is still the same. But according to the vessel that we are presenting, there is a lot of rainwater in it or little rainwater in it. Like that with the grace. If we are really opening our heart, then that grace can flow freer and freer. Or then jokingly she adds, or we can also present the vessel upside down.
You know, when I went to this gathering on Monday to be with in some junction where people have been gathering, and there was a big screen, and we were watching the whole event of the people coming back. And then I just couldn't take it anymore. The energy was like I became more sensitive to energy recently, of becoming, and I just couldn't take it anymore. It was like too heavy. So I went to sit someplace beside, and somebody came to me and asked me if I was all right. He saw me from a distance and he came to ask if I was all right. I don't know what he saw, but then I told him I can't speak. I mean, I tried to say something, and then I told him I don't have words really. We spoke a little bit, but somehow, yeah, it was grace from his side, of course, but yeah.
If we are natural, if we are not locked up in our thoughts all the time, if we learn to live, to experience, to breathe, to feel, to think from that position, then that grace is always there and flows freely. That's how the divinity is manifesting. So it's not either divinity or manifestation, but manifestation can become a pure, beautiful, harmonious expression of that divinity. And that is the manifestation of grace.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in?
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly.
Hello, everybody. In regarding what you said today in the beginning about vasanas and about the grace, I feel some connection with that and want to talk about that. As to me, I have a strong vasana about connected with worries and some fear sometimes, even when everything is okay, nothing is bad, but this habit is very strong, that this feeling that something can disturb my comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for example, now my father is old and he can't take care of himself, and we found a nurse for him, and everything is okay. We found a good woman that takes care of him. Anyway, I find that I'm ready that she calls me and says something maybe not good, or something that can makes me worry. And today it happened that he felt himself bad, and I felt this irritate, this worry that maybe I should go to him, and because it takes a lot of time for me to go to him. We live far from each other. It will take me 3 hours, and every time when a situation like this happen, I feel that I am afraid to lose my comfort, that I should go somewhere, and it happens very seldom that I really should go, but my fear happens more often.
Yes, yes.
And today I was sitting in my meditation after talking with nurse, and everything is okay now. I was sitting, and yes, I didn't feel any but I felt this worries, and some words came to me that in this situation I can feel, and I can be in full relaxation and trust and calmness. And this phrase helped me very much. So anytime when my head gave me any other worries, what if happened this, under this and that, anytime I asked, and in this situation I can be in full relaxation and absolute trust and calmness. And and this really was helpful, and I took it like a grace from God, really, that helped me. I can't say that I've really felt myself in absolute calmness, but it helped me so much, very much, because my worries were rather less. Yes, and I feel very grateful for that. Anyway, I wonder, because God really helps me so much in my life and gives me a lot of presents. And recently he helped me to find this fine woman for my father. Very quickly it happened. Anyway, I I often have doubts that in any next situation, in any new situation, I yet feel these fears and worries that what will be, or if it will be okay or not. So some doubts. Anyway, I don't know, and why I have can't at least trust and relax.
Right.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Of course, yeah. What you are describing is something everybody is struggling with, more or less. But people spend lots and lots of their time and energy worrying about the future, worrying about this, worrying about that, and most of it never happens.
Yes, yes.
Right. That doesn't mean we should now sort of, as a countermeasure, try to just make a wall and not care about anything. I mean, there are two very different ways of not caring. There is the not caring of the one who simply is busy with one's own egoistic personality and doesn't want to know anything else. And it's certainly not a solution to get rid of worries. And there is that other not caring, which is not really not caring, but more being unconcerned, more developing that faith that all is the play of that same divinity. And I'm playing a role in it, and sometimes that role is useful, but sometimes it's not on the program that this personality, this form is involved into certain things, and then I can let it go in God's hand and somehow trust that it's flowing in the right direction in the long terms, even if it doesn't look like immediately, apparently. So when you feel that worry, then try to bring the attention not so much to that subject, that thing that brought the worry about. When you become aware, oh, I'm again fully there in that worry, then spend some time forgetting about what brought the worry about, but simply watch how this worrying is really working. What I'm doing to myself when I'm worrying, how I unnecessarily spend my energy by creating unnecessary tensions in my body, energetically, emotionally, intellectually. And the more we can see that, the more we can learn to relax, to let go. If then such a thing happens like you described, that the phrase came to your mind that helped you to, what you did after that was letting go. So that phrase was really a manifestation of grace that you could, and the fact that you could pick it up and then more relax. But finally, it's just a matter of learning to let go. When we see the worry comes up, then not try to figure out how can I solve this problem, how can I solve this problem, but okay, let me first get rid of that worry, see how it is working, and learn to let that go.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Werner. Yes, today I was watching the breath, and this phrase also helped me. Yes, and I want to add that recently I really noticed in myself this that I was that it was more difficult for me to relax even when I get what I wanted. So I have some problem, it's solved, and I don't feel relaxed. I already think about the other ones. So I found that really it doesn't help to solve all the problems. I need only to to learn to learn this relaxation in spite of this. If have I some difficulties to solve or not. So I found it very clear how that it doesn't depend of if I get everything I want and solve everything. Relaxation doesn't depend on it. It's really deep inside, and I should work with my habit to be worried. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
there's no way of solving all the problems because you can imagine 100 more problems all the time.
Yes. 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 Sure. Yeah.
Yes. But you can learn that you accept, okay, a situation comes, and if I'm not making it into a problem, then it may be not so an easy situation, but then, okay, then you can be ready when it comes. When it really comes and manifests, okay, then if that resistance is not there, that it should not be like this, then you just let it come, deal with it as it comes, and let it go as it goes. The heavy thing is all that we are doing in the head. Oh, when this is going to happen and that is going to happen, and that is a real vasana that is training, and that you are well advised to be alert. And when it lifts up the head, that you learn then not to take it so serious, step a step back, watch what's going on, and learn to let it go.
Yes. Yes. Today I felt it very clear when I was watching this breath and trying to relax according to this phrase that I can be relaxed in any case, whatever happens, whatever where I am or what I'm doing, what happens
Yeah,
around me. Yes, I felt this freedom. Yes, that I can be relaxed in any time.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, it's the taste. I felt this taste of this freedom.
Right.
Yes, very great grace for me.
So it will
Thank you
help
very
you
much.
to remember that
Yes,
it's
yes, yes,
possible.
that's right.
It's not
Yeah, yeah.
impossible.
Yes,
Very
yes,
good. Very good.
yes. Thank you, Werner. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, Vikas.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Since we are talking about grace, I wanted to ask uh, when people are there has been times in my life when life has been very difficult and I didn't know what to do. And even though I used to pray to God, but I used to feel that there is no way out of this. There are a lot of troubles in life, lot of problems in life.
Mhm.
Over a period of time, now that I've aged, now things have settled down. I see a lot of grace everywhere. So my question is, even I have heard people saying that if you are praying, if you are in some kind of sadhana, then there are a lot of grace and God takes care of a lot of things. So why things are difficult for people who do not have faith? Why it becomes so difficult for them? That is one question. And second thing I wanted to know, have you seen Amma in this divine bhav, Krishna bhav or Durga bhav? And like, how is it? Is it like she manifests things which are unnatural and that kind of magical thing?
Good. Okay. The first thing, why is it that people who don't have faith have more difficulties than those who have faith? That was basically the question. Because
Yes.
those who have faith, they connect with that divinity. And if you connect with that divinity, even if the problems are there, you're more ready to deal with them. And people who don't have that possibility to consciously connect, then every little problem one makes it into a big problem. And even if they have not more problem in their life than the other person, they think they have much more. And it looks like because they make a big fuss about every little problem. And of course, the more you are natural, the more you are in harmony, the easier it becomes. That doesn't mean not in this world, not on this material level. After that, your life is just a stream of harmonious events. Everything is arranging itself all the time. You still will have to face some harsh moments. But if you basically feel that connection, if you basically are aware, whether you are doing it in the Advaitic way, that you are aware that there is the self that is not affected, or if you are more like a devotee, aware there is that divinity. It's always there and not affected by this. It's something that is prior to this. If you have that connection, then automatically, with less worries, with less tension, then you are prepared to deal with the difficulties, and with less worries, you are also inviting less difficulties. Okay. Whether I have seen, yes, in the beginning when I came to Amma, there was regularly 3 times a week, first Krishna Bhava and then Devi Bhava. And first and there were basically just the villagers coming. Like when it was many people, it was 50 people. And first she would invoke in her temple Krishna, and then suddenly one felt, oh, something is happening, and they closed the door and they dressed her up inside as Krishna, and then the door opened again, and she was standing there in the corner of that little gallery as Krishna, and she really exuded another energy. for the villagers, it was clear Krishna came into her body and now it's Krishna standing there. But what happened is more that she is in that state that she can consciously put more or less layers. And when she went into those bhavas, there was just a bit less of a layer there, and more of that divine beauty and brilliance seemed to flow out of her. And it had its own flavor. And then after that, there was a break. And then again, she was invoking Devi with her bhajan. And then when it was clear something was happening again, the door closed. And then she was again going actually through a phase. First, it was manifesting rather as a very wild Kali Bhava type, and she would come out and had the trishul and the sword and dancing and screaming. And then she would go inside and slowly calm down, but people still didn't dare to approach because she was there. Somebody did a puja and everything was ratatatata. Even the wood below her feet was rattling ratatatata. And then gradually that mood would calm down, and she was manifesting more and more the loving mother aspect of the Devi, and then the villagers would come and they would tell their sorrows. Most of the village women, as soon as they come in, they would burst into tears, and she would take them in her lap and listen to them and talk to them, and all along radiating something that was not as obvious when she was not in that bhava. But her disciple never believed that there was first Krishna coming inside and going, and then was Devi coming inside and going, but rather that Amma, who has all that potential there, is revealing more of that potential. But after that, withdrawing it again, because having always that intensity as a manifestation maybe would simply have been too much for everybody around her. She did that because in Kerala, this is not unusual that people have this kind of possessions, that the deity comes, really something comes in their body and they completely lose conscious, and then that being is withdrawing again and they waking up like from a sleep. Well, this is a language that the local people could relate to, and they thought that is the same thing happening with her, and something special did happen. In spite of all my Advaitic convictions at that time, I totally loved it.
So when she is talking now, so is it true that she is talking from that bhava? Because now she doesn't get that bhava. So is it true that she continues to be in that bhava?
She can
And
choose from which bhava she is talking. It depends the sincerity and the depth of the situation, that she may just on a surface there may be somebody creating problems, and she may be on that same level react and scold, and that does not necessarily come from a deep bhava, but that excess is always there, I have no doubt.
so when we ask questions, then she will. It looks like a normal person is answering. But people have told me that she knows and she sees the future, and from there she is answering you. There are a lot of things goes inside her mind, and then she answers. So obviously that would be true, no?
Right, but it, I'm sure I cannot tell. I cannot say, okay, I know exactly what Amma is doing. But I can assure you, the more sincere, the more profound that question is, the more that question comes from the heart, that will invoke a response from her that really comes from the source. And if it's a question more rather to test her or something, then there may also come all kinds of she may
So
amuse herself to say all kinds of nonsense.
whatever questions I asked her and the kind of answer she gave, when I think of it, then I can understand that there was a lot of deeper meaning to what she had answered. On the front, in the superficially, it looks like a general person answering, but her expressions on her face was like it had a lot of deeper meaning. So,
Right.
so
But you don't have to rack your brain and think, what did she really mean? What did she really mean? Take the answer that you hear. And maybe as the time passes, you may hear other aspects more profound. But if we start to dig and think, what did she really want to say? Then we may also come up with all kinds of imaginations.
right one. Thank you so much.
You're
Hari.
welcome. Hari Om, Hari Om. All right, my friends. There's been a lot about vasanas. And usually in spiritual circles, vasanas, the word is being used like something terrible, something very bad. I mean, everybody has their inherent tendencies. We just can learn to deal with them in such a way that they are not preventing from being natural. And things that we unnecessarily have learned to repeat and accumulate, that it pulls us into ways that create that apparent separation. We can deal with them. We don't need to be afraid when we hear vasanas. Okay, then we learn to look at it, learn to observe how it functions. And if we are sincere about it, then it is not so difficult to let go what needs to be let go. It comes back again. Are we really sincere? Do we really want to be free of all this? Or do we want to remain the me personality but add something more, something spiritual, some extra power? That me who stands in the way from being natural has to be ready to let go. And there, that divinity is already there in its own distinct beauty and purity. I wish you all well. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.